Commander Neria Voss stood motionless at the observation deck of the Imperial warship Dominion, her angular frame silhouetted against the burning planet below. Solaris IV had once been humanity's final outpost, a desperate attempt to preserve what remained of their civilization. Now it was just another conquest, another victory for the Draxian Empire. "Status report," she demanded, her voice carrying the distinctive harmonic undertones of her species. "Cleansing operation complete," Commander responded. First Officer Yaren. From behind her, no human life signs detected. "The colony has been eliminated." Naria allowed herself a small smile, revealing the ceremonial silver teeth implants that marked her as an extinction commander. This was her fourth such campaign, and perhaps her most significant. The humans had been particularly resilient, constantly adapting their strategies and technology despite diminishing resources. "Send confirmation to High Command," she ordered. "The human threat is finally neutralized." The viewport before her displayed the aftermath of their assault, structures reduced to smoking ruins. The once verdant landscape transformed into scorched earth. The Draxian fleet hung in orbit like predatory birds, their hulls reflecting the glow of fires still burning across the planet's surface. Neria removed her helmet, revealing iridescent scales that shifted from deep blue to purple, depending on the light. 3 distinct kill marks adorned her right cheekbone, each representing an extinct species. Soon she would receive her fourth. The humans. Was it necessary? The question came unbidden to her mind, a dangerous thought she quickly suppressed. Such thinking had no place in the Empire. Since hatchling training, she had been taught that inferior species must be eliminated to ensure Draxian supremacy. Hesitation was weakness. Mercy was failure. Commander Jaren's voice interrupted her thoughts. "Engineering reports anomalous. Readings from the planet's surface." Neria frowned. "Specify." "Energy signature. Faint, but consistent. Possibly technological in origin." "Impossible," she snapped. The cleansing was thorough. Yet even as she spoke, movement caught her eye, a flicker of motion against the devastation below. She magnified the viewport, focusing on what appeared to be a lone figure moving through the ruins. The image sharpened, revealing a human in a battered exosuit, purposefully making his way toward what remained of the colony's command center. "Identify," she ordered, a cold sensation spreading through her chest. The ship's AI responded immediately. "Identity match. Tarek Rowan, her former commander of Earth Defense Initiative. Status: confirmed eliminated during Battle of Helios Prime. 3 stellar cycles ago." "Evidently not," Neria murmured. She watched, transfixed. As the human paused and looked up directly at her ship, as if he could see her watching. Even from this distance, she could discern his expression as the faceplate of his helmet temporarily cleared. He was smiling. Not the desperate grimace of a hunted survivor, but the confident smile of someone exactly where they planned to be. "Luck! Down all systems," she commanded. "Deploy ground forces immediately. I want that human captured alive, Commander." Yaren questioned, surprise evident in his tone. "Protocol dictates immediate elimination of I am well aware of protocol." She cut him off sharply. "But this human has survived what should have been impossible. Before he dies, I want to know how." As the orders went out, Naria remained at the viewport watching the human disappear into the ruins. For the first time in her distinguished career, she felt something unfamiliar, a shadow of doubt. Humans were supposed to be extinct, another footnote in the Empire's glorious expansion. Yet one remained, moving with purpose rather than fear. "What are you planning, Tarek Rowan?" She whispered to herself, the gleaming points of her artificial teeth catching the light as she spoke. "And how many more of you are out there?" No, securing her helmet back in place, Naria made her decision. She would lead the ground team herself. This final hunt would be personal. The true end of humanity would come by her hand. The ruins of Solaris IV's command center were a labyrinth of collapsed corridors and exposed wiring. Tarek Rowan moved through them with practiced efficiency, each step deliberate as he navigated the familiar territory. 3 years of guerrilla survival had taught him to move like a ghost, present enough to be seen when he wanted to be. It's invisible when he needed to disappear, and he had definitely wanted to be seen this time. Access terminal located, he murmured to himself, approaching. The damaged but still functional data hub embedded in the wall. The fact that it still had power confirmed his theory. The Draxions weren't as thorough as they believed themselves to be. Pulling a modified interface device from his belt, Tarek connected to the terminal. His cracked helmet display illuminated, with scrolling data as he bypassed the first layer of security. "All right, let's see where you're headed next," he whispered, fingers dancing across the holographic interface. The data flowed across his screen. Coordinates, fleet movements, resource allocations. Then he found the next target in the Draxion. Cleansing operation, Haven Colony, mixed species settlement with a population of nearly 2 million, including the last significant group of humans beyond those who had been on Solaris for. "Not if I can help it," Tarek muttered. Downloading the information, a slight vibration through the floor warned him of approaching forces. Disconnecting his device, he slipped deeper into the shadows just as the entrance to the command center burst open. Commander Naria Voss entered first, her energy blade drawn and humming with lethal potential. Unlike her subordinates, who scanned the room with frantic movements, her amber eyes moved methodically, analyzing every shadow and recess. "Fan out," she ordered. "He's still here." Tarek watched her from his hiding place, the infamous Extinction. Commander was even more imposing, up close, her armor adorned with kill markings, her movements precise and predatory. Yet something about her expression caught his attention, a flicker of curiosity rather than the cold determination he expected. As the search team spread out, Tarek activated his final gift to Solaris for a series of electromagnetic charges. Placed throughout the facility's remaining systems, the lights died instantly, plunging the command center into darkness pierced only by the glow of Draxion weapons. In the confusion, he moved, not away, but directly toward Naria Voss. "Commander," he said quietly as he appeared behind her. She spun with impossible speed, her blade stopping a breath away from his throat. "Human," she responded, the word both identification and accusation. "I wanted you to see me," Tarek said calmly. "To know that extinction isn't as simple as your empire believes. A dramatic gesture before your death," she replied, though she didn't strike. "Why?" Instead of answering, Tarek activated a small projector in his palm. Between them appeared fragmented image eyes records from before the war. Draxions and humans standing together, not as enemies, but as allies. "Your history has been rewritten," he said. "We weren't always enemies. Your people didn't always conquer." Her eyes narrowed, but he caught the flicker of doubt in them. "Propaganda," she dismissed, though her blade didn't advance. "Then why am I still alive?" he asked. "You could have killed me already." Before she could respond, an explosion rocked the facility. Tarek used the momentary distraction to vanish into the smoke, leaving Naria staring at the space where he had been, the ghostly images of a shared past still floating between them. The orbital station above Solaris IV had been abandoned decades ago, a relic from the time before the war. Now it served as Tarek's temporary sanctuary as he worked to transmit the warning to Haven Colony. The damaged communication array sparked intermittently as he attempted to bypass its ancient security protocols. "Come on," he urged. The reluctant technology. Just a few more minutes. A slight change in air pressure was his only warning. Tarek dropped to the floor as an energy blade sliced through the space where his head had been. Rolling to his feet, he found himself face to face with Naria Voss. "Impressive reflexes," she commented, adjusting her stance for another strike. "I've had practice," he replied, drawing his own Wepena, hybrid blade fashioned from salvaged Draxion technology. They circled each other in the cramped control room, neither making the first move. Through the viewport behind Naria, Tarek could see her ship docked to the station. "You followed me alone," he observed. "Interesting choice for an extinction commander. Some hunts require personal attention." Their blades met in a shower of energy, the clash echoing through the abandoned station. Tarek fought defensively, using the environment to his advantage, while Naria pressed forward with practiced precision as they fought. The station's ancient systems began to fail around them. Warning lights flashed as the life support system struggled. With the sudden energy fluctuations, This station is dying, Tarek said between strikes. If the reactor goes, it'll take your ship with it. Then we'll finish this quickly, Narya responded, though something in her voice had changed. Their combat brought them to a section of the station that neither expected: an archive database. Its holographic projectors sputtering to life as they entered. Around them appeared fragments of historical records, peace accords between Draxians and humans, cultural exchanges, scientific collaborations. Narya faltered, her blade lowering slightly. As she took in the images, "This cannot be real," she whispered. "Your empire's history begins with conquest," Tarek said, keeping his distance but lowering his weapon. "But your species' history doesn't." A violent tremor shook the station, throwing them both against a wall as emergency bulkheads began sealing. Automatically, they found themselves trapped together in the archive room as the station's systems continued to deteriorate. "We need to work together to survive this," Tarek said, extending his hand. "Temporary truce?" Narya stared at the offered hand, conflict evident in her expression. Finally, she nodded once. Temporary. As they worked to stabilize the station's failing systems, an uneasy alliance formed. During a moment of respite, Narya studied the human with newfound curiosity. "Why did you let yourself be seen?" she asked. "You could have remained hidden." Tarek's eyes met hers. "Because someone needed to remember what we were before we became enemies. Someone needed to question the narrative." "And that someone is me?" she asked incredulously. "You're the only Draxian who's spoken to a human in years without immediately trying to kill them," he replied with a hint of a smile. "That makes you unique." Another explosion rocked the station, more violent than the last. The viewport cracked, revealing the stars beyond and the glow of the planet below. "We're running out of time," Tarek said grimly. "And I still need to warn Haven." The reactor control room was a cathedral of dying technology. Emergency lights cast red shadows across Tarek's face as he worked frantically at the control panel. Beside him, Narya monitored the station's structural integrity, her expression grave. "The reactor cascade is accelerating," she reported. "We have minutes, not hours." Tarek nodded, not looking up from his work. "If I can reroute the auxiliary power, we might stabilize it long enough to reach the escape pods." Their forced collaboration had shifted something between them. The hatred that should have defined their interaction had given way to a grudging respect, perhaps even understanding. "Why Haven?" Narya asked suddenly. "Of all the places to warn, why there?" Tarek paused, his hands hovering above the controls. "Because it's more than just a human colony. It's proof that different species can coexist. Draxians, humans, Tellarians, Vosial, living together without conquest or subjugation. The Empire would call it an abomination," she said quietly. "Dada. What would you call it?" Her eyes met his, uncertainty visible in their amber depths. "I don't know anymore." The control panel sparked violently, forcing Tarek back. "Damn it, the primary systems are completely fried." Narya moved forward, examining the damage. "There's another way," she said slowly. "The reactor can be vented manually from the external access port." "But that would require someone to remain behind," Tarek realized, understanding the implication. Yes. Their eyes met, a moment of silent communication passing between them. "I'll do it," they said in unison. A bitter laugh escaped Tarek. "The last human sacrifices himself to save a Draxian. The irony isn't lost on me, nor is the extinction." "Commander dying to save a human colony? Lost on me," Narya countered. Another explosion rocked the station, sending them both staggering. Narya caught Tarek before he fell, her scaled hand gripping his arm with surprising gentleness. For a moment, they remained close, predator and prey transformed into something neither had anticipated. "Why did you become an extinction commander?" Tarek asked softly. "I believed in the Empire's vision of strength," she replied. "I never questioned whether strength could take other forms. And now I question everything." The proximity alarms blared as the reactor approached critical levels. There was no more time for discussion. "We need to move," Narya said, leading the way toward the external airlock as they prepared their environment suits. Damaged as they were, Tarek noticed Narya studying him with an intensity that went beyond tactical assessment. "What?" he asked. Could have killed me several times, she observed. In the command center during our fight, you had opportunities. So did you? He pointed out. Why didn't you? Tarek checked his oxygen levels before responding. I thought there was something worth saving. The admission hung between them, unexpected and transformative. In another life, another universe. Perhaps they would have been something other than enemies. The thought passed unspoken between them as they prepared for what might be their final mission together. The curved exterior of the station stretched before them like a metal desert, illuminated by the distant sun and the emergency lights that still functioned along the hull. Tarek moved carefully, his magnetic boots securing him to the surface. As he made his way toward the external reactor controls, beside him, Narya navigated with the natural grace of her species, her movements fluid despite the bulky environment suit. The comlink between them crackled with static as the station's systems continued to fail. The manual override is 20 meters ahead, she said, pointing toward a control panel barely visible in the station's shadow. They moved in silence, each step bringing them closer to the moment of decision who would stay and who would go. The question remained unresolved between them. Silent battle of wills. As they reached the panel, Tarek began the override sequence. His fingers moved with practiced precision despite the unwieldy gloves of his suit. The escape pod is primed, Narya reported, checking her wrist display. But the station won't last much longer. Tarek nodded, focused on his task. The override is almost complete. Once initiated, there will be approximately 60 seconds before the reactor vents. Barely enough time for one of us to reach the pod, she observed. Yes, the final sequence completed, Tarek turned to face Narya. Through their visors, their eyes met human and Draxian, survivor and hunter, no longer simply enemies. The coordinates for Haven are in my suit's data storage, he said. They need to be warned. You should be the one to deliver the warning, Narya replied. They'll trust you. I'm still the enemy. Former enemy, Tarek corrected with a small smile. And perhaps that's exactly why it should be you. A Draxian commander warning a colony instead of destroying it. They'll listen because it's unprecedented. A violent tremor shook the station, nearly dislodging them from the hull. Narya caught Tarek's arm, stabilizing him. We're out of time, she said, and I've made my decision. Before Tarek could respond, she activated the reactor vent sequence. The station shuddered as massive valves opened, beginning the controlled release that would prevent a catastrophic explosion. What are you doing? Tarek demanded. Choosing a different path, she replied. In a swift motion, she detached a data module from her suit and pressed it into his hand. My authentication codes. They'll get you past the Empire's blockades. Narya, the Empire has taken enough. She cut him off. No more extinction campaigns. No more erasing of history. With unexpected gentleness, she pushed him toward the path leading to the escape pod. Go, warn Haven. Then find others who will listen, Draxian or human. It doesn't matter. Come with me, he urged. She shook her head, her expression visible. Through the visor resolute, but no longer cold. Someone needs to ensure the vent sequence completes. And ... She hesitated. Someone needs to begin changing the Empire from within. Another explosion rocked the station, more violent than before. The hull beneath them began to buckle. Go, Narya commanded. This time Tarek obeyed, moving toward the escape pod with determined strides. At the airlock, he turned for one last look. Narya stood silhouetted against the stars, her form straight and proud as she completed the vent sequence. Through the failing comlink, her voice reached him one final time. Remember, Tarek Roan, we weren't always enemies. Perhaps we need not be again. The escape pod detached from the dying station, carrying Tarek away from Solaris 4 and toward an uncertain future. Through the viewport, he watched as the station vented its reactor energy in a controlled cascade of light. Beautiful in its way. In his hand he clutched Narya's data module, not just a tool for survival, but a symbol of something more profound. The possibility that even in a galaxy defined by conquest and extinction, understanding could still emerge from the ashes of war, as the pod charted its course to Haven. Tarek made a silent promise to the Draxian commander who had chosen to rewrite her own programming. Her sacrifice would not be in vain. The cycle of extinction would end, not through the annihilation of either species, but through the recognition of a shared past and the possibility of a different future. Beyond extinction lay something neither of them had dared to imagine: hope.